$40,000 down the drain because I made this fold. I got bluffed in a key spot today.
Down, bleeding, not quite defeated, searching for the answers but not yet believing. Look in the mirror, don't like what I'm seeing these days. Leading the meaning to this life that I'm leading. Time to release all the fear that I'm feeling. Reaching out for someone who really sees me. Now I'm every day winning. I won't stop till I succeed. Not until I find a need.
$40,000 down the drain because I made this fold. Welcome to World Series of Poker 2026 and my next episode about how I made a fold that might have led to me winning $40,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I got bluffed in a key spot today, and you're gonna get to see it step by step and how I finished at the Aria $800 daily tournament during the World Series of Poker. A little change of pace today as we head to the strip to the Aria to play one of their better dailies throughout the WSOP. This is an $800 buy-in. It's going to be a nice turnout, great prize pool. Let's do this at the Aria. Come on. Do this. Aria Daily, it's time to rock and roll. We're gonna change it up today, guys. We're gonna head over from the World Series to the Aria. It's just across the street next to the Cosmo. We're gonna go ahead and park at Paris and walk over. Right there. We'll do a little walk-up shot in a minute. But yeah, we're gonna take a break from the WSOP, take on an $800 daily at the Aria. Let's do this. Man, I love the Aria. I'm not sure why I don't play there more, but it is a very cool spot to play poker. I'll bring you some shots from inside during the tournament. In the meantime, let's go. Everyday winning. We're coming up on the spot where last year, right here, was where Phil Hellmuth played Everyday Winning. Right here. If you haven't seen it, he put it on his Twitter. He put me on there. It was amazing. Right there. Thank you, Phil. Everyday winning to you. Last night I met a couple people that I had never met before that have been watching the videos. And you guys, just thanks so much for taking the time to come up and say hi at the World Series. Means more than you know, because it's not easy to do this, and the fact that these videos are reaching, people in Arizona and Texas and around the world, and you actually are watching them. Thanks so much. Now let's go win. Tournaments are just on the other side, and they're getting ready for even more people. As usual, we'll give you clock updates and stack updates as we go. We had one interesting hand on around the third level, 10-9 of clubs in position. We flatter raise 5-way. We flop top pair and a gutter. So it's 9-8-5, no clubs. The guy's a little bit short, like a third of starting. So he leads out and he's got some speech play going on and he just doesn't seem super strong. Seems very capped in his range. So we flat, and the turn is an interesting card because we turn top 2 with a 10, but now there's a 4-liner straight if he has a 7. Again, I go with a live read, he bets, and we call, and he has ace-10. I don't know what he was leading out with just a gutter and 2 overs on the flop, but so we got off to a start. Now we're at 34,000. We lost a couple small pots, but feeling really good today, feeling focused, ready, excited about the Aria. I mean, this place is like super nice. Hopefully when we get to a break later, I'll give you some of the shots of the ambiance of the Aria. Everyday winning. We're at 70,000, level 5. 2 interesting hands to tell you about. So how did we chip up in this tournament? First of all, as I was just saying in another episode, the way we get money in against a lot of the better players is by betting our hands strong. So by the time you get to this point of the World Series, you've got a big mix of recreational players and very good players. And the very good players are going to be sticky. So when you get your good hands, like in this case, the first hand I had pocket kings, you got to get a lot of chips in the middle, which also helps balance your range. So when you bluff, you can also pick up a lot of pots as well. But against certain players, they just don't believe you and will call down. So we have kings, we raise, we get called. The guy defends the blind. Flop comes 10-3 deuce. He leads out. What is he representing here? So we raise because we want to build a big pot. But also, we don't want to make it obvious that we're smoothing sometimes with a good hand. So it also protects our bluffing range when we sometimes will bluff this flop. So we raise pretty big to 12,000. He calls, turn is a 7, he checks. Now we're in that spot where how do we get more money in this pot? I bet again, he calls. The river is a 5, he checks. Now we down bet a little bit and bet 40% pot just to make sure we get called. He thinks about it for a little bit and pays it off. And we don't get to see what he has, but we assume he had some kind of a 10. But this is kind of what I'm getting at, is that against these players, we just need to find value. The next big pot I had pocket 3s in middle position. I flopped a set of 3s on 10-4, 3 2 hearts. And again, we just get value. We flop a set, the boards draw heavy, we just need to get paid. And I end up getting 2 streets of value with a set of 3s. And just like that, with making 2 hands against the right opponents, now we're chipping up. And this is gonna be key throughout the tournament, is who can we extract value from, and who can we move off of pots with some steals and bluffs and things like that. All right, we are on the second break, registration closing. We got 44,500, went multiple levels without winning any hands, but just bled chips, didn't have any great spots. Fortunately didn't bleed too many, but there's 284, 171 left. So the blinds are about to go to 600, 1,200. And we should have a prize pool soon because the closed registration. And come on now. It's time to catch some cards, go on a run. Let's make this 40K, 40 whatever K, look like 100 by the next break. Let's go. Okay, not only did we just win a huge hand, but we also have a prize pool. Here you go. 302, 162 left. Oh, first place, 46,000. 46,000 for first. We're paying looks like it's going to pay 38 spots. All right, let's go. Okay, these guys are playing hands. Let me tell you about this hand I just played. So, we have the Queen Jack on the button. This guy, seat 7, super aggro, bunch of chips, raising like crazy. I tried 3-betting him, he would have folded, but the big blind woke up with a hand. So this hand we have Queen Jack, flop comes Jack Jack 10, 2 diamonds, he checks through, turn, 3rd diamond, we bet 5,000, into 11,000 he calls, river, blank, he checks, we bet 11,000, he says, oh, you have a poker channel, you're good enough to do this without a hand, and he pays it off. So we're at 58,000. I should tell you guys, I'm doing these analyses, hand breakdowns in the Paris, finished at the Aria, ended up going over to Bellagio to play cash after the tournament, and now I'm in the room in Paris where tomorrow I'm going to be playing a World Series event. And just so you get a sense for how this goes being a vlogger, it's 3:30 in the morning right now, and I'm doing hand breakdowns and scripting all of the hands from this tournament and everything that happens during this Aria tournament. As every day winning is play. Anyway, what I want to say really quick about this hand is that people play differently when you're a vlogger, whether they've watched your vlogs, whether they know you're a vlogger, whether it's to try to impress you or other people, or in this case, this guy is paying off because he thinks we're capable of making plays in this spot. So sometimes we get called light, sometimes people will make hero plays. There's all kinds of things that can happen when you're the vlogger. You've seen in cash games that I've played throughout the last 15 months that people will make crazy bluffs and want to show it. So, you know, we just have to be aware of that, and it's going to play into how the sessions go. So in this case, it got us paid. Interesting hand just now. I have the Queen 8 of hearts in the big blind. Button opens min at 1,500 big blind. Small blind calls, we call. Flop is 8, 8, ace. Big blind, small blind check, we check. Button thinks about betting and checks. Turn is queen, so we turn 8s full of queens. Small blind leads for 5,000. I call, button calls. 2 clubs on the turn. River, boom, 8, quad 8. So now we're just hoping one of them has an ace. Small blind checks. We bomb 25,000. This is a great play against good players to above average players. Against great players, people can sniff out that you have a monster. But anyway, button folds right away, and the small blind tank folds and shows an ace. So we know that he's a very good player, most likely sniffed out the quads. But he also can only chop though, so overbet probably still a pretty good play. All right, we're back. Over 70K now.
Oh, well, rebate, thank you.
We like to talk about our no sales, our no income tax, but our property tax.
One of the most interesting and exciting hands of the tournament so far, we have pocket 9s under the gun 1. Relatively aggressive opponent who we've played in other tournaments before throughout the summer. He opens, we flat. Caroline, who's become a friend of ours now, she flats in the cutoff. The flop comes 8-6 deuce rainbow. He c-bets 10,000. We flat. She flats behind. Pot's getting huge. Turn 7. Now we're open-ended. He checks. I decide to check to see what Caroline's going to do in position. This is a very tricky check, which puts me in an interesting spot. She goes all in. 8-6 deuce 7. I was concerned about her possibly having a set on the flop because this smashes all of her pocket pairs flatting range. And I don't know enough about her to know how capable she is of making plays or what's going on. It's a very trappy flop for her to trap with a set. She also could have just connected with 2 pair if she had a hand like 8-7 suited. We're blocking the straights because we have 2 9s, and we also have an open-ended. But just remember that if we're wrong here and we don't hit, we're out. Registration is far past, and this is the spot. So I tank for a long time, and I really think it through. And this is for my tournament. And I call, and we're good. And she has 9-8. So she has top pair and also an open-ender, and we hold and win a huge hand. So we're rolling at this point.
We have never had any football games.
The big blind's bigger than that.
All right, big tip.
Big double, and kings hold versus sevens. This was another huge spot, and one that seemed a little bit surprising at the time. The guy had opened on the button. I just went ahead and ripped with ace king. He called pretty quickly, so I assumed he had a pair. Ace queen, maybe ace king also, and he rolled over ace 10 suited. So just another example that people will be calling you very wide. So if we're building pots pre-flop with good hands and we're raising post-flop with good hands, we can also jam pre-flop with better hands because we're gonna get called a lot of times. I've seen this a lot this summer, is just ripping it in and getting called by worse. So huge hand right here, ace king holds versus ace 10. All right, we have 232,500. There are 80 people left. 38 players paid, and we just win ace king versus ace 10. Guy raises button, we jam, big blind he calls. We also had a huge hand where we get kings versus sevens. The guy to my right folded the other 2 sevens, and we hit a king on the flop. So crushing. Break at 27 minutes. Okay, we got an opportunity on our hands, guys. Third break. 69 players left. 38 paid. We have 240,000 chips. First place. It's gonna be up there in a second. I'm gonna tell you about a sick hand, okay? It starts with not looking at my cards. I gotta see first place before I tell you. First place, wait for it, is 46. Do you see that? Oh my God. It was 46,000, trust me. 46,000. Anyway, we're playing for first place. Final table. I don't look at my cards. This lady raises to 8,000, okay? And a guy in the small blind flats off of like 60K. She's deep. And we've been chatting up. Everybody's been getting along, chatting the whole time. And I just think, you know what? I don't think she's as strong here. And I whack it up to 27,000 without looking. But I didn't know if she had seen if I had looked. Anyway, she tank folds jacks, and the other guy folds whatever he had, and we pick up 20,000. The point of this is that when they fold, we pick up as many chips as we risk, almost. Don't be afraid to make these kinds of plays. I shouldn't have showed, but I had king 3 offsuit, and I did show. Strategy going back. We need to abuse the bubble, but we also need to be aware of the fact that we just showed a bluff. Use the bubble, make some hands, chip up. And this is where everything changes. You can see the player across the table now stacking up my chips after winning a massive hand, which I'm about to tell you about. But this is a very accomplished player from Los Angeles, and we have been battling very little throughout the day, both of us kind of chipping up against a lot of other players. But he ends up winning this hand, our chips, now on a hand I'm about to tell you about. So we're on a break. We're on the soft bubble, and we're 2 from the money, 40 left. I made a very incorrect fold in a hand that would have put me amongst the chip leaders with 42 left and got shown a big bluff. So I am not tilted, I'm not playing poorly, but I'm emotionally processing what happened. And we're hand for hand, which is going to be tough. They're taking 2 minutes off the clock for every hand, and it's going to be really close, whether I make it or don't make it. So the minimum cash is around $1,300 from $800 buy-in. So we're just really hoping for 2 bust outs now. All right, I'm going to break this key hand down in 2 parts. First of all, I'm going to run through the action very quickly. Then I'm going to slow down every single street and analyze this hand, since it really is the crux of this entire episode. So here's how it goes. Blind versus the player you just saw. We open king, queen off. We've just won 2 big hands in a row. There's a lot of metagame things happening. I raise, he calls, flop comes 9-8 deuce. I c-bet quite large, he calls. Turn is a queen. We hit top pair now. We check, he bets 55,000. The river is a deuce. I now lead for 62,000. He thinks for a little while and jams all in, which is for our tournament, 4 from the money. That's the very fast version of the hand. Now we'll get into some analysis. Starting with pre-flop from the small blind, king queen is a strong hand, and we're going to be raising and playing this hand throughout for value at different spots. We want to be thinking with ICM implications that not only can we think about getting paid with our hand, but also putting pressure on the opponent, because he's only got us covered by about 50,000, but we're both pretty deep. So I raise standard 3.5x blind versus blind, which is good for this stack depth. He calls the flop 9-8 deuce. Now, I don't have any problems with betting this flop. I think we should be betting a lot in general at this point of the tournament. The problem for sure is the sizing. I end up sizing up way too much on the flop, which then makes this hand complicated from here on out. If I had made a standard 25 to 35% pot bet here on 9-8 deuce, it changes the hand. He's going to call a lot of times, but there's also times where he might raise, and that was probably my thought about betting bigger. And quite honestly, that's a very old way of thinking. You don't want to be thinking, I'm going to raise and take down a pot. That's not going to work very well, except for against very basic, straightforward opponents, who is not the opponent we're talking about here. Here we are talking about playing against a very competent opponent. And so when we c-bet, we need to be following more of the GTO type sizes against this kind of player. So I bet too big, the pot gets out of control, he calls. Now we get to the turn where things get really interesting. So on the turn is a queen. The pot is bloated. It's huge right now. It's 100K. We have right now about 210,000 behind. So we for sure are looking at pot controlling right now. We're pot controlling and we're trapping, because he's also going to check back the turn a lot of times here, because a lot of times people are going to be looking at one more street of betting. And then he goes for it here by betting 55,000, which doesn't seem like it's crazy, betting 55 into 100. But as far as at this point of the tournament with our stack sizes, that's actually a very big bet. And it's very polar. It's very nutted or it's bluff heavy. This board does not have a lot of draws present. So we're really looking at him either being really strong or medium strong to weak. So 9-8 deuce queen. We check. He bets 55,000. I like the check. I like the call. Now we get to the river. The river pairs the deuce. Here's where I think, and I thought, I made a really good play. I think against most opponents, even some capable, very good opponents, it probably was a good play, because I lead now for 64,000, which is roughly, let's say about a third pot. We're getting value from a lot of hands right here. King Queen is very under-repped because we check call turn. We're getting paid by a lot of his value hands. We're getting paid by all of his ace nines, strong nines, random worse queens, some eights, things like that. And I don't expect that he can have any bluffs here because we only have about 110,000 behind. So I bet 64,000, and he thinks for a little while and goes all in. So now, of the thousands of hands I've played throughout the course of the World Series, this is definitely my longest tank so far. Second longest to the set of nines that I correctly folded. So what am I thinking? Already on the turn and on the flop, well, Jack 10 is all over his range, flatting pre-flop, betting the turn, jamming the river. So I can't seem to get Jack 10 out of my head, just like it's just the most likely hand that he has. So when I bet, I really just psyched myself out into thinking that he can only go all in with Jack 10 or a full house. There's 8-8 to me, and Jack 10 are the most common combinations of hands that he can have here. And so I end up thinking that because the pot is so big, it's 340,000. That's how much is in when you calculate my 64,000 plus what was in there already in his 64,000. How can it be bluffing for 100,000 and change more in the spot? I didn't believe that bluff is even there. And for most people, it's not. Like I said, he only has us covered by 50,000, but it does factor into him being able to pull off this play. But he solo read us. I mean, he figured it out and he went for it and he jammed. And for the sake of the vlog, he showed. I think he wouldn't have normally. I think he would have he's a very quiet player. But he had the two key cards. He had a 10, which combines with the jack to make a straight. And he had an 8, which connects with the 8 to make a set. So if he has 8-8 or jack 10, those combinations are beating us with a full house or a straight. So he used his blockers to make this play, and he was planning it on the turn, which is what I felt. So if I had this hand to do over again, I for sure would have checked the river. And I think I might have been able to find a call based on how he went all in. I think by betting, even though that was a creative line, by taking the bluff away theoretically, I also put myself in a spot where I kind of leveled myself into folding. I think if I check, I find the call. But most interesting hand of the WSOP thus far, have been kicking myself for making the fold, but also sometimes they do have it in that spot. I've talked to numerous other people who have said that if they bet the river, it would probably fold because their hand is very strong and likely to be jack 10. But hey, we've learned a lot from this one hand. Now you can see that our stack has gotten significantly shorter than after the hand where we fold king queen. And part of the reason why we're folding there is because of ICM implications, knowing that we're very close to the money. And I'm very confident that with a stack of over 100,000, there's a good chance that not only am I going to be able to cash, but also be able to stay in the tournament and contend, because the average stack is only, around 200,000, 175. So we're still in contention for this tournament. And we're certainly not folding our way into the money with, over 3.5x starting. So we just keep running into some spots. We raise, we end up having to fold. We get a few jams through, but most importantly is that the bubble, the soft bubble, goes on forever, which is very difficult because now we're getting to the point where ICM is very important, and it's very important that we, especially after making that fold, get our way into that cash situation. So not all of us can run around crushing tournaments and having rails that say ICM is for poor people. Most players that aspire to make money from poker, by the way, that's a reference to my friend Josh Reichert, who we all were wearing his shirt with ICM is for poor people, because he goes for it in the tournaments and is an amazing player. But most of us are very aware of ICM, both on final tables, final table bubbles, and the first ICM spot, which is the money bubble. So ICM, just to break it down in a very simple term, it's just that your chips have value in terms of making money. So as your chips get really small, they actually have a lot of value in terms of returning money back, because before I was still going for it, trying to accumulate chips. Now we're getting really close to the money with 1 and 2 people from the money, and our stack has gotten smaller. Now it's even more important to be getting into the money because the stack is smaller, much harder to contend for the win, but important that we are 1.5 or 2xing our buy-in. In this case, the min cash was 1,200 and the buy-in is 800. So at this point, we are just trying to make it through. We're calculating how many people are left in the room, and we are just praying that at this point, surviving this long, navigating through the bubble, we can somehow make it, but it's a very difficult situation to be in. So here we are again in another spot in the World Series this summer in a hand-for-hand portion. Unfortunately, we ended up going hand-for-hand 2 away from the money, which is very frustrating. Hand-for-hand meaning that they will deal 1 hand out to the entire room, every table. They take 2 minutes off the clock, and it slows everything down to a halt. I was in another WSOP tournament, 1979 Hall of Fame Bounty, where it was the longest hand-for-hand ever in my poker career, and somehow I was able to eke a cash out with 1 big blind. But this is the point where it's just absolutely treacherous for the short stacks, because you're basically just waiting each other out, hoping that a bigger stack runs into a cooler, and it's just treacherous. And we've all been in this spot many times. We always want to be on the side where we have the chips, where we can abuse all the short stacks, but not to be in this case. But we're hand for hand and just hoping for the best.
Are the blinds coming, or are they?
What do you think, man? What are my chances? What's the percent?
I have no idea, but
80%.
6 hands to hopefully someone else busts.
6 hands. Actual bubble. We're on the exact bubble in the Aria Daily 800.
I didn't see the millions.
We're waiting for the announcement, but we may have a miracle.
Like,
We're just waiting for it. Waiting for it. Come on, say it. Say it. Please. Please. You guys better celebrate for me. Everybody, you better celebrate for me. They just had a massive hand over here. Waiting for the news.
Do you have any other hobbies or just poker?
Woo! Let's go. Let's go. Come on, baby. Wow. 1.5 blinds. We got our 3rd cash of the summer. Aria 800. 38th place, $1,237. This one was a roller coaster. We had chips all day, crushing, ran into a crazy spot, 4 from the money. I don't know what the lesson is, guys. I'm gonna need a little bit of time because I'm immediately removed from the tournament. But this was like a 500K pot if I call in the end. And I thought he had it. He didn't. He had 2 blockers, 1 to the straight and 1 to the full house. And sometimes we make the wrong fold. I was very fortunate to get in the money. And on to the next one. Tournament poker's tough, man. It's really tough, but it's a tough field, and 38th out of 302 is nothing to be ashamed about. But I'm gonna review that hand, and these are not gonna get away with those bluffs next time. Don't be watching this vlog and thinking that you can bluff me in that spot, because next time I'm gonna make the call. In for 800 in the tournament. Out for 1238. You know what? We're gonna get a lot more of these chips. We're gonna learn from this one. Out for 1238. Everyday winning. All right, we got momentum now. Let's go. All right, I'm taking a minute just to evaluate this spot. Okay, not trying to be hard on myself, but the average stack right now is 323,000. The chop value is 7,000. So if I make that correct call there, I've got a really good chance at, you know, winning the thing, but at least making considerable more money. So the takeaway is I'm not going to make a hero fold in that big of a pot again. Just going to call it off and win. I got some good news after the bust out. We just found a tram. It's free. You don't have to take the taxi all the time and waste all your money. Anyway, got to come up with a silver lining after busting the tournament. And so we're taking the tram to the Bellagio and then walking right across the street to Paris and Horseshoe. Here it is. Let's go.
Keep an eye on this side. It tells you which one is coming first.
There you go. Next tram. All right. Next tram, Crystals, Dara, and Bellagio. Everyday winning, everyday learning, everyday growing, and cashing. Let's go. Just like that, here we are at the Bellagio. Secrets. Vegas secrets. Instead of, you know, having to sit here and stew over bad beats, let's focus on what we're learning. What is on display at the Bellagio? Woo! I love this. Does anybody just walk around without cameras anymore? Look at it. Just look at this guy's live streaming. Should we go get on his live stream? We're on his live stream. How many people are watching? I don't know. I can't tell. Anyway, everyday winning. What should I do next? Cash game? Bellagio? Another 2040? I don't know. Let's ask this guy. Man. I would fold to this guy if he put me on. Alright. Let's go. On to the next. Let's have a big win today. Hey, Bellagio 2040 limit hold'em. In for 1,000. Out for 1165. Everyday winning, great day. You know, I used to play a lot of limit hold'em back in Arizona and in Los Angeles and also in Minnesota. And it seems like this might be a good spot to build up some wins, maybe even take some shots at bigger limit games so we can win a main event buy-in before too long. A week and a half before that starts. Everyday winning. Plus 165 in the cash game at the Bellagio to go with the tournament win. We are at a plus 603, a positive day. We're gonna build off of it, keep kicking ass. Tournament tomorrow, everyday winning. Let's go. We'll be back at the WSOP. Let's go. Look at all the craziness around here. Old Red. Pretty wild. And then you got action over here. We are not short of action over here at the Horseshoe in Paris, Las Vegas. We need to go get some rest and some exercise in the morning, because that's how we get to everyday winning in the tournament.
I won't stop till I succeed, not until I find a need to survive. I'm everyday winning. I push past the fear I feel. I've got a lot to prove to me to stay alive. Everyday winning.